Welcome. Hello, everyone. My name is Karine. I'm the Program Director for Young Adult Cancer Canada. And this is actually episode 3 of our new web series called We Get It. We Get It was an old program of YACC that we've thought was just so neat as a title because we get it. And so, welcome. This week, as you can see on the screen, I'm in very, very good company. I'm lucky to be with 3 of our amazing YACCers, so young adults who are connected to the YACC community, but who are also very connected to the cancer community at large. And so community and connection and peer connection is going to be kind of what we're going to talk about today. So all 3 of you, thank you. We're going to introduce everyone, but thank you for being with me tonight. Community is really at the core of YACC's existence. So the network and the connection is why I think we exist. Because young adults will say often that isolation is one of the biggest issue that they face when they get diagnosed with cancer. When you're in your 20s or 30s, the chances of you having 7 friends, immediate friends who have had cancer, are slim. So connecting to your community is significant. So when we did so a few years ago, which we're still in the process of doing, but we did this big study, the YACC Prime study, which we'll talk tons about in future We Get It episodes. But we did the YACC Prime study, and one of the things we found, we looked at the connectedness. So we were curious to say, is it just us that really likes to connect with the community, or is that meaningful? And what we found was quite interesting. So as they were looking, they looked at those who felt connected to the young adult community, so not just the YACC community, but the young adult cancer community. Those who felt connected, we have a 4th guess. I love it. Those who felt connected to the young adult community, they had lower levels of distress. They had better mental health. And they also had less body image distress. That got us really curious. So we're still digging into the data of YACC Prime to understand better. But ultimately for us, it was kind of like, lower levels of distress for me was significant, and better mental health. So to think that to be connected to the community can have that impact on you when you go through something as difficult as cancer as a young adult really was a super huge motivator for us to continue the work that we do. So I know that all 3 of you have been connected for various periods of time. We have a long-time alumni of YACC with Chris, and we have Morgan, who's been connected for quite a few years, and Maya, who's kind of newer to the YACC community. But first, let's start by introduction. So I'm going to go first to you, Morgan. Who are you?
Ooh, good question. Deep. Yeah, my name's Morgan. I was diagnosed in 2015 with stage 4 colon cancer. I am a plant lover, very dedicated cat mom, petter of dogs, and a happy person. Yeah, that's me.
That is great. And how about you, Maya?
I was diagnosed with stage 3C triple negative metaplastic breast cancer at the age of 39 years old. I have been NED for 2 years now. Thank God.
Yeah.
I'm also a cat mom. I have 5 cats.
5?
I am a mom to, yeah, I have 5 cats. I'm a mom to an autistic child, and I'm married since 2014. Or was it how many years again? And I love to dance. I feel like every time I'm down, I just pump up some music and just dance. That's me.
You do dance beautifully, I gotta say. If you ever get a chance to watch that woman dance, it's pretty fun. Awesome, thank you. And how about you, Chris? Who are you?
Who am I? I was diagnosed with stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma back in 2010. So it's been a long time. Um, I also enjoy cats, but I do not own any cats. I also enjoy dogs though, but I do not own any dogs, so no pets. Um, I'm a designer by trade, and I kind of just relax and just live my life pretty much.
Yes, you do. You low key. You do a lot more, but yeah, this is great. I love this. It speaks of you. I'm a dog person. I don't have a dog, but cats are kind of cute. I gotta say, I think they're really beautiful. Um, but I'm not a big cat person, so I don't think I had cats when I was a kid, but I'm more of a dog person. So someday I'll have a dog, and I'll love your cats from a distance. So if your cat visits you, Maya, tonight, it's all fine. It's all good. You can do that. All right. So we talked a little bit about the community when we started. Um, and I talked a little bit, I touched on isolation. Maybe if could one of you speak to, we always say it's not worse to have cancer as a young adult, but it is different. Can you speak of what makes it different? What is different about living or being diagnosed with cancer when you're a young adult, in your opinion?
Literally everything.
Right.
Everything. Like the social dynamic, the financial status, you're in the middle of probably like considering a career, or you're working or in school, and like I had an appointment today at our cancer center, and I didn't see any young people, not a single one. So it was a lot of retired people who are older, have a lot of like underlying health conditions, which affects their prognosis too. So just everything is completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
I feel like
Oh, are you just frozen for me, or is she frozen with you, Chris and Morgan?
She's frozen for me as well.
Oh, my eyes frozen a little bit. Well, oh, and then you're back. You just froze a little bit, Maya.
oh,
That's
sorry about that. Technical issues.
all right.
I was just gonna say we're kind of like just starting our life. Like some people are still trying to find a husband or a partner. Some people haven't had kids yet. So it's definitely like very challenging. And unfortunately, some people get diagnosed when they're pregnant.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, we've had a lot of that. We've had people who had just started their first job and, didn't even have a chance to get a few months in to get insurance or to get any coverage of anything. And then cancer happened, which, yeah, that's it. We have a few of that. Chris, do you have anything to add on that?
I mean, they basically covered it all, but it is really different in that respect. You're just finishing school or just starting school. I was just starting work at the time, so that was a big difference for me. And the social dynamic is very different, just with your social circles, and it's not common. So no one really knows how to react or how to act and how to deal with that. So it's very different in that respect.
Yeah.
I think how people view us too is very different compared to other people with cancer that are older, because when I go to my appointments, people assume that I'm waiting for my mom or my grandma, and then they see me with the appointment slip and they go, "Oh, but you're so young." It's like, yes, I'm aware of my age, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's different. It just is.
Yeah, it is. And it's still like, it's better. Like I've been working with young adults since 2006. It's better than it was. I'm not going to be depressing, but there's still a fair amount of awareness to be done, because I think for a lot of people, young adults and cancer are still not really something that they see together. And yeah, you're right, Morgan, like the perception and the expectation that lies on you because you're young, and because chances are maybe you're going to look better physically quicker. than an older person, then all of a sudden the expectation of like, well, come on, get back to it. And it's not that simple.
Oh, you're young and healthy.
Yeah, you look fine. You don't look sick anymore. Yeah, no, it's yeah, that's it. We know why it's different, but you know, talking about it sometimes might help. Some people feel like, here, there, that's what I was saying, or someone might just think about it differently. So we talked a little bit about community, and we know, you know, the cancer trajectory, and you get diagnosed, and there are all kinds of things. So some people in our community or in some of our friends' organizations take a while before they connect, for all kinds of reasons. Like for some people, when they first get diagnosed, it's like, oh, fuck, no, I'm not ready to be really connected. I'm just focused on surviving, on kind of getting through cancer treatment and getting through that. And eventually find their way to connecting with some cancer peers or a cancer community. Others never really do. It varies a lot, but I would love to know, at what stage, where were you at in your cancer kind of story when you reached out and connected with the cancer community? Anyone can go first.
So I actually waited a few months. I feel like when I was diagnosed, I didn't believe it at first. I was in denial. I remember even going out dancing after my diagnosis, like the day, yeah, because I was like, yeah, right. This is a joke. I'm too young for this. I don't
Yeah.
smoke. I don't drink. This is weird. And then one day I was just sitting down and I'm like, oh my God, I have cancer. And that's when everything started sinking. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I was a mess. Like, it's like I've seen like a ghost or something. It took me a few months. I had surgery first, and then when I started treatment is when I started looking online
Okay.
to see like if there's some sort of support group for like young men, or because I'm like, I need to speak to someone, and I didn't want to speak to like my family because they're just so like old school with stuff. Like they wanted me to keep it to myself, but I needed to speak to someone. So it took me a few months.
Okay. How about you, Morgan?
It took me about 2 months to find YACC, mostly because when I was diagnosed, like there was no pamphlet given to me that had YACC in it. And now at our cancer hospital, YACC is in it, and we have a poster board because I complained enough.
Not because you didn't send any, but
yeah, but it took a while. It did, because that first month I was dealing with all the emotions and my family, and I wasn't given any peer supports when I got diagnosed. I was given like a stack of pamphlets, one being like how to tell your grandchildren you have cancer, and none of it really applied to me. Some of it did, but a lot of it didn't. And I was on the bus hitting rock bottom as per usual, having a little cry, and I just Googled, like, there's got to be something. Like, I can't do this by myself. And YACC came up. I put a little message in, fully expecting to not get anything back, because I was like, oh, it's probably dead. You know, like, this is probably so old. But by the time I got home, I had watched the videos, the We Get It videos, and I was just like, oh, these are the things that I feel. Like, this is crazy. And then Creed, you called me the next day, and we had a chat. And ever since then, I've been connected to YACC, and then being connected to YACC has connected me to a few other things as well. So like advocacy work at my cancer hospital, for the province, with Local Life, and with Wellspring in Edmonton. So yeah.
Broadly connected. Yeah, I remember that conversation, Morgan. I remember really well. I think I texted you first.
Yeah, because
I might still have that text. So I think
please don't phone me. I got like a nice little paragraph, and then I was like, okay, I guess you can phone me. And then
I guess they're not dead. How about you, Chris? It's been a while. Like
been a long time, but I didn't actually connect with YACC until quite a while after diagnosis. Really, through diagnosis, my singular focus was just get through chemo, get through cancer, and that will be it, and then I'm good to go. It was after I finished all my treatments, it was just kind of like, I don't know what to do now with my life or with anything. You try to go back to normal, and I did try, and it didn't fit. It felt wrong. So it was probably about 8 months after my last treatment that I heard about YACC and the conference, and that's where I went first. But even then, when I went to the conference, I knew nothing about YACC. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. It was just like, oh, I'll give it a try. I'll see what this is about. And here I am.
10 years later,
later.
Still here. Yeah, I think I was saying, we were talking, I think Chris is our longest volunteer. Like, he's been doing a lot for this community for a long time. And it's not, at first, to your point, it's like, I don't know about this thing. And he stuck around. So, hey, we're pretty grateful about that. Yeah, it's listening to all of you. And I don't think there's a wrong time to connect. I wish everybody knew from the get-go what is available to them. Here are all the places you can kind of reach and connect with. And then you choose your time. But I think sometimes, because cancer, like, it's not like you get diagnosed with cancer and you have this recipe book of how you're supposed to feel and what you're supposed to do. So sometimes I think you don't even know what can help you until you kind of are experiencing it to your level of interest and your personality. Not everybody kind of is immersed in the same way in the community, and that's fine. But when sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and cancer is a good example of that. And then, to your point, Chris, like, regardless of where you're at, what we see and what we say all the time is that it takes longer to recover from cancer than to be treated for cancer. And so all these kind of more long-lasting effects that often happens when either you're on treatment indefinitely, like it is your case, Morgan, or if you're done treatment and then you're supposed to be done and supposed to be all good, and you don't feel all good. For a lot of our community members, a lot of your friends, that's when they search, because it's like, I'm losing my mind. Everybody is pushing me to get back to life, to forget about cancer, to do whatever, and I don't feel it. And I feel inadequate. Now I feel like I'm losing at cancer, like I'm failing at it's not how it works. But a lot of people feel like that. They feel shitty for how they feel. And I think people around them don't mean any harm. It's just this profound desire for the person that you love or support to be okay. But when you're not, I think that's when the community can actually really make a difference. But yeah, I'm biased, some people will say, but I think that's kind of how it goes. I'm looking here at some of our questions that we had written down.
I think it also sometimes takes time to be able to look back and be like, wow, yeah, that was traumatic. Because when you're in the middle of it, you're just trying to survive. It's pure survival. And then it ends, and then you go like, I have to pay bills again? Like, yeah. Do I have to go to the dentist now? Yeah. All the weird normal things that come back, and you're like, I can't handle any of it, because you've been through some serious trauma. And a lot of people end up with PTSD from cancer treatment as well.
Mm-hmm. They do. And it's true. That's it. I think it is a shock, like, regardless of if you actually get a post-traumatic stress diagnosis after your cancer or not, it's still pretty shocking as a news. And then the intensity of the treatment you receive. And really, like, we have people in our community, as we know, who've had as much as, 2 bone marrow transplant and 2 years of chemo and radiation and everything. And then we have people who will say, well, I only had surgery, which is like, hold on a minute. You had cancer first, and then you had surgery, and then you got scared because it's scary. And then, so minimizing experiences is never, I'm not a fan of that. But ultimately, it is a shock, and to kind of absorb it, there is a survival period where, you go through treatment and doctor's appointment, and it's a spiral. But when that slows down, it's like, okay, emotions have space to come back up, and you get to feel things.
scary things.
Scary things.
Sometimes it feels like we're going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. And I think that's also where we see how community can be helpful. So I think we're looking into are the pluses of being connected to a community and what are some of the challenges. Like, we're not blind. Like, I know there could be challenges, but I think there is that place where it feels good if you feel like you're going crazy to be able to talk to someone who is in the same kind of developmental phase of life, who can say, oh, no, I've been there, or I am there. And sometimes it feels really good, because then that helps you sort through, okay, I'm going to stop freaking out that I'm losing my mind, knowing that others can relate with me, and then I'm going to try and do something with that. And I think there's a lot of power in that.
So many of the conversations on YACC are, is this normal?
Mm-hmm.
And then people go, yes, that's normal. We're here with you. I felt the same way. And then they go, oh, good. I'm not, XYZ crazy level. It's normal.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels good that the craziness that is a cancer experience can feel normal. Like, when we do retreats or when we put people together, often, like, people will say, it felt so good to be surrounded by people with who I didn't need to justify anything or apologize if I was tired or if I didn't want another beer, or like there was no need for justification because I was surrounded by my peers. They got it. And that can be a relief, especially with the expectation that comes when young adults go back or are done treatment and their surroundings don't fully get that. The community can be of a lot of comfort for that. You've all like I said, you've been really present in the YACC community, but I know also like Pink Pearl and Rethink, and you do a lot of stuff with leukemia, lymphoma, Chris and Morgan, like with Wellspring and with the hospital. Like, you've all kind of been using, I guess, maybe your experience, and if it's not the right word, let me know, but to move through and beyond some of the hurdles and challenges of that. Was there a moment in this kind of navigation of cancer where you felt like, oof, I think I've passed a cap of something, like I think I'm feeling some growth in this whole shit hole? Or is there a moment where you remember feeling that way?
For me, there was definitely. I think it was probably around 2014. So I'd been connected with YACC for 4 years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it was. I think, was that, now everything's a blur. I don't remember what year is what anymore, but it was right after Retreat Adventure.
Okay, yeah. So 2013 was Retreat Adventure.
Yeah. So that next year, that for me, that really flipped a switch in my mind. It was kind of like the challenges and stuff from Retreat Adventure just showed me like, okay, like I can push myself. I can kind of gave me the confidence to kind of do those new things that I didn't think that I could do before. Because before I was like, well, all these things are leading me to get back to my old life. And that really flipped the switch to me, like, well, no, I can move on with my new life now. And that's really when I started getting more involved with other organizations as well, just with the power of your story and the power of your experience really helps other people. And, and that was really the kind of epiphany for me, was just there's more that I can do that I didn't know I could do.
Yeah, cool. That retreat, lots of memories. How about you ladies, Morgan or Maya? Was there a moment where you kind of felt, and again, like I want to point, like I know your situation is different when it comes, it's not like Morgan right now, you're done treatment forever. So I know that you've kind of been in this different space treatment wise, but I've also seen you like move forward.
It's a lot of this.
Yeah, but you though, and maybe it's my perception, but there is a lot of this, but then I still see you you
Yeah.
kick-ass woman, but were there kind of milestone moments that are kind of more present in your mind?
So it's a lot of little milestone moments for me that have sort of built up over time, because like at the beginning of my cancer experiences, I was 100% patient, 0% advocate. And then it kind of goes like this, and then I have to do treatment, so I have to go back here to keep things level, because if I don't, then like you can only do so much in a day. And when I'm in treatment, I'm a patient, and when I'm not in treatment, I can do things that benefit other people, including myself. So the thing that spurred that really though was my friend Erin and my friend Meg that I had met on YACC. We had a similar diagnosis, age, stage, time of diagnosis even. We went to Wellspring before it had even fully opened, and we were like, we want a young adult group. It has to happen. So Erin, who's finished treatment, took on the group, and we made it happen just by showing up and telling people. And that felt really good, but I didn't really feel like it was my doing. And then after that, we had a young adult nurse navigator assigned to our cancer hospital. And during one of my chemo sessions, she just appeared and was like, hey, like, what do you think is important? What are your resources that you found? And I could rattle off like this huge list of like YACC, Tip of the Toes, Survive and Thrive, and like all the cool stuff that young adults have access to, because like you just keep a running list of it in case you run into somebody. And conversations grew out of that. And then she made positions on a couple advisory boards for young adults to give their feedback. So that felt really great. And then that led to reviewing documents and helping build an AYA framework for Alberta, and just all of these other things that happened because I showed up to a meeting, you know, or said, hi, I live in Edmonton on YACC. And it's just the amount of connections that have formed because of it are incredible. But in terms of my advocacy work, I think one of the best things is going to my cancer hospital and seeing a giant poster board dedicated to young adult things in a very busy hallway that you have to get through to get to the rest of the hospital. And it just like fills me with joy, makes me feel represented. I love it.
That's awesome. I know you were saying, like, Maya, you were freezing, but we were still able to see you.
Okay.
So yes, but do you have something that you want to contribute to that?
Of course. I feel like because it took me so long to start sharing my story, now that I'm feeling like I get a little better than when I was first diagnosed. I love helping people. So that's when I just started like doing speaking engagements. Like, and I'm very, very, very grateful for these opportunities that's always been given to me. Like, and if I can like help one person, I feel like I'm doing my job, because I know I was there one time and I was so scared. So I feel like all the advocacy work, all the speaking engagements that I'm doing, anything that I'm doing just to help one person makes my heart full. And it's also very healing for me to do it. I find it very healing to write and to share my story.
Yeah. Yes.
I
Oh,
guess
that's
that's
beautiful.
for life answer, I guess.
Yeah. And sharing your story, but you're right. Like there are all kinds of, we could get lost there, but I'm looking at the time and we won't have time. I could talk for way longer, but I like helping people. So there's science that shows, like, you know, they'll say like helping others is a selfish act, but I think it's meant in a way that it makes us feel good. And especially when you've been through something as traumatic as cancer, and it's not for everyone, and that's okay, but when you do find that spot where you can advocate, when you can share your story, where you can contribute in writing, which is something that you've all done in many different communities, that is significant, because we know, like, the profile section, we always say that, and it's true, the profile section of YACC's website is, I think, still to this day, the most read section of our entire site. And there's a reason for that. It's because young adults will look for places where they can relate. So whenever you share your story, like you did with me tonight in parts, I know in my heart that someone is going to listen and click with a few of what was said today, and either might decide to connect and reach out with YACC or with another organization, or with a peer, but not stay in isolation and just give it a shot and see what it does, which to me is like the whole point, really. I'm super grateful. Thank you for that. So I guess, like, we kind of touched on it just now, but let's say we wanted to say, if you wanted to say something to someone who's listening, either someone who is really not connected to any cancer community, or someone who's just kind of having a shit day, is there anything you would like to say to that person? I'll start with Morgan, and then I'll go around.
So something that's really given me a lot of strength and power through cancer experiences has been being very assertive of my role in my cancer experience. No one tells me what to do. I don't have to do anything people tell me to do. I'm in control, and that makes all the difference. Cancer is something that happens to you. You don't get to pick it, but you get to pick your treatment. You get to pick your doctors. If you don't like your doctor, you can get a different doctor. You don't have to do anything you don't feel comfortable with. You don't have to make choices that you don't like. You do have to make hard choices sometimes, but you don't have to make a choice just because someone tells you you have to make a choice. And that's something that has helped me so much, because I've had to fight for surgeries, I've had to ask for treatments, I've had to switch doctors to get what I need to heal and to get better. And I feel like people who are newly diagnosed or new to the cancer community don't know that. Like, you don't know that you have the ability to pick what happens in some ways. And yeah.
That is power. Boom.
Yeah.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I guess, well, same. Morgan hit the nail on the head right there. And I guess, you know, if I had any kind of advice, quote unquote, to give, it would just be that, you know, the cancer experience is messy. It is messy going through it. It is messy coming out of it. And, you know, connecting with a community of people who understand, it really helps clean up a little bit of that mess and helps organize things a little bit better. So it's really a great way to kind of navigate through that that swamp of cancer.
It's okay to not be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. And how about you, Maya? Do you have anything you want to add?
I feel like they covered most of the things I was gonna say. Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was frozen again. You guys basically kind of covered everything that I said, but one thing that's helped me a lot, I feel like it doesn't matter how bad and shitty your days are sometimes, there's always something to be grateful for. Always something to be grateful for. And I feel like finding gratitude is one of the biggest silver linings I have found in my diagnosis, and it's helped me so much.
Well, that's a pretty nice way to wrap this up. Man, you guys are wicked. I'm feeling very grateful to know all of you and to do the work that I do. You know, it's, yeah, it's pretty great. I guess for me, like my Mondays, and I do that on Facebook, but for, I think, about 5 years now, if not more. Every Monday, I do a post that I just think of my weekend or whatever and remind myself. It's at first it was quite selfish. And then over the years, people were like, thank you. So it's just linked to what you said, I guess, Maya, but it's just a reminder to just breathe, which I know we hear a lot about. I know meditation, and there's a lot of that kind of came out in a very different way in the last 10 years. But I think it's significant, especially when you go through cancer and the uncertainty that comes with that. All of the things you kind of brought forward are amazing, which is like self-advocate for what you want and what you need. To know that it's going to be messy and that to be connected, it can clean it up. To find some gratitude in your day that can also really help. To share your story, like you've brought forward so many things that I hope is going to resonate with anyone who's listening and is watching that. Hello.
Hello.
This episode. Hope you get to feel inspired. And then when you feel horrible or you feel like shit or you're having a hard day, just take one moment, deep breath, do it a few times if you need to. Don't care about people around you. And your brain is going to know what to do with that. It's going to feel grateful to even just give it a few deep breaths to calm yourself down. Thank you all so much for this evening. It was pretty great to chat with all of you. You had a lot of insights that were pretty awesome to hear. So huge thank you for all of you watching. So this little episode of We Get It is a wrap for today, but we are going to be back next Monday. You can find all the information on youngadultcancer.ca. The full schedule for November should be up right now by the time you're watching this, and so you can check what's coming up, and hope you have a great rest of the day, a great night, a great whatever, and thank you. Bye.